Intelligent Ramblings with your host, Bill Alton. Co-hosted by Gary Glenn and William Howington with help from John Cohen.
Good evening and welcome to Intelligent Ramblings. I'm Bill Lofton. I'm your host with my co-hosts Gary Glenn and John Cohn.
Good evening.
Good evening. And by the way, happy birthday, Gary Glenn.
Happy birthday, Gary.
Woo! The big 7-0.
Man.
Wow.
It's
Damn, dude, you're old. I got trees in my yard younger than that. Big trees in my yard younger than that. Well, you're doing well for 70.
I got a big tree in my backyard that's younger than that.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, we're proud to call you a friend
and
and
the shape I'm in.
pretty good shape for the shape you're in. You can't even be better than that. Well, let's get right to it. The debate is set.
All right.
June 27th and September 10th. And both candidates had a few things to say. Trump's was anytime, anywhere. You know how defined he is. What do you call him? Crazy Joe? Or it's amazing that he has such a lack of reverence for the fact that he's talking about the sitting president of the United States. But that's Trump. I mean, that's we all know that, and we realize it, and we just kind of suffer through it. And Trump, let's see, Biden said, I hear you're free on Wednesday. That must be one of the days he's not in court. Biden was grinning when he said it, so that's the way it is with that. So what do you think? What do you think? The debate's going to be a slugfest or what?
I would kind of like to go back and look at the 2020 debates. I think, they might just be a lot like those were.
Well, he kept interrupting President Biden on a regular basis, and it was the decorum didn't happen. There was none. He pretty much does what he wants and makes his own rules and cheats and like he does with everything else. So
Well, it's probably not going to be on issues. It'll be more of a personality thing. And I don't know. I don't know if debates are going to change anybody's mind. The people that are hardcore Biden are going to be Biden. People that are hardcore Trump are going to be Trump. The only ones that might waffle a little bit are people who are sitting on the fence. But this is such a polarized race. I don't know how many of those people there are.
True.
That is a great question, Gary, and I am rarely stumped for something to say, but I, for the life of me, could not tell you, and think this is a good topic for a later show. Is what does that look like? How many people are have their minds made up for President Biden or former President Trump, and how many are undecided? How big of a pool of voters is that? I don't have any idea.
Nor do I. There's a whole cadre of people out there that don't like either one of them. But will they jump in?
I would say that would be the great majority. I would say that's the great majority. Don't like either one of them.
Well, but people are going to hold their nose and vote for one of them probably because they figure voting for a third party, a libertarian candidate or some kind of independent run is just, they're figuring they're wasting a vote. But there are people that are just in good conscience really cannot vote for either man. And so I don't know which way that will benefit either one of them more. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the people who vote for a third party, knowing it really won't make a difference in electing one or the other directly, might in fact affect it indirectly. And I don't know which one it would affect more.
I think it actually. Well, let's talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who would. I think the Democrats are afraid that he would take votes away from President Biden, but my opinion, based on just whatever I happen to look at in the news, would be that he might actually take more votes away from President Trump, former President Trump.
When you look at some of the things that Kennedy has said, it tends to be more leaning to the right than to the left. Unlike
I agree.
Most of his family, which were fairly liberal. Probably John Kennedy and maybe Robert, they were more or less moderate, but Edward Kennedy, in fact, was very liberal. When you're talking about the current sense of the word, conservative and liberals used to be. John, you're a finance guy. Used to be that those terms applied almost exclusively to finance. Were you a financial conservative or a financial liberal? And now it's a whole different ballgame.
It's like the old meanings have gone away, and they were good in their time. And anyway, they're not. They certainly have changed. That's for sure.
Well, on to another subject. Rafah. Menachem Begin has fulfilled his promise to start the assault there, and it is ongoing. And the U.S. is sending $1 billion worth of arms to Israel. That's what the press is saying. On the Rafah thing, I wanted to pull up something and show you what is going on there. This will pretty well encapsulate it. Here's Rafah right there before the invasion. That's where they all ran to after they assaulted Gaza. When they started, that's where they headed, and that's what it is. It's just a big tent city. Now, when the Israelis said they were heading that way, get out, this is what happened.
Wow. It's evacuated.
This is what it looks like evacuated. That's what it looked like a couple weeks ago.
Well, the war has now claimed upwards of 35,000 people, most of them civilians. But part of that you can trace back to Hamas's practice of using human shields and ensconcing themselves in places where civilians live. That strategy has not worked as far as deterring the Israelis very much at all. It might have won them some points of public opinion, which is why we have the ongoing protests across the country. But when you look at the civilian casualties, particularly with regards to what I just said, I mean, in any war, you're going to have civilian casualties. That's a given. The civilian casualties have been reasonably low, if I can use that term. I mean, anybody that gets killed is too many.
Well, why are they bringing up the civilian casualties so much when it comes to Gaza and Rafah and that part of the world? Have you heard anything about civilian casualties in Ukraine? Where they're keeping it, who is protesting for Ukraine? All the civilians that have been killed there.
Well, exactly. That's sort of hypocritical for all the protesters to say one thing and then ignore a completely different part of the world. That's why you're getting a lot of comments about anti-Semitism and things like that.
Well, it seems to me that's what it is. Anti-Semitism. It is more than their actual concern for the civilians and the that are dying over there in Rafah and Gaza and those areas. It doesn't, hypocritical. That's exactly the answer that, not that I was looking for, but it was the answer that summarizes what I was thinking. John, you had something you wanted to bring up. You asked me about it this week.
Thank you, Bill. Last week we were talking about former President Trump's trial that he's in the middle of right now, and there was a comment made about the crimes were actually just misdemeanors anyway, and we know that's not true. And the way we know that is the charging document, the indictment, is a matter of public record. So I'm gonna put up that document really quick and talk about it for just a minute to show how he's not charged with misdemeanors. He's charged with 34 counts of a felony. And so I'll put the document up. There we go. Okay. It's probably hard to read if you're reading at your monitor, so I'm just going to go through it really quickly. People of the state of New York against Donald J. Trump, defendant. The grand jury of the county of New York, by this indictment, accuses the defendant of the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree in violation of Penal Law 175.10, committed as follows. The defendant in the county of New York and elsewhere on or about February 14th, 2017, with intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof, made and caused a false entry in the business records of an enterprise. I'll stop right there because there are two things in the indictment that we're looking at right here that make you know that this is a felony, not a misdemeanor. He's charged with falsifying business records in the first degree. If you go read that New York state law, it says first degree is a felony. If he was only charged with falsifying business records in the second degree, that's a misdemeanor. He's charged with a felony violation of New York law, and the way they elevate it to a felony is where they say with intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof. That makes it a felony, not just a misdemeanor, but a felony. And so now I'll take this down. And so we're back. So I just wanted to, and that is what I read was count one. And there are 34 total counts in that indictment. And here's the thing. They've got the checks, they've got the business records, what they have to prove, the hurdle that they have to go over that's pretty high is they have to show the jury beyond a reasonable doubt they have to show Donald Trump's intent to commit that crime, that other crime, by falsifying business records. And that's the part that they have to persuade the jury beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty of these 34 felonies.
All righty then.
So, sorry, that was kind of long-winded, but
No, not at all.
it's not a misdemeanor; it's a felony.
It clarifies that it's a definite felony, that he could get some jail time.
But
34
that wouldn't necessarily prohibit him from running or being elected to the presidency.
That's true.
Not the way
there's
the current
nothing.
statutes stand. He could literally govern from prison.
Wouldn't that be?
We're in uncharted waters here, man.
Just
And
weird times right here.
And he pardoned himself.
Weird times. I don't know if he can do that, but maybe he could.
Say why not? I guess we'll
Maybe
see.
he could cut off his own ankle bracelet and not get in trouble.
You're right.
He's got immunity.
We're in charted waters. This ought to be interesting. On the international front, Robert Fico, Prime Minister of Slovakia, shot 5 times in the abdomen. He's a increasingly right-wing, pro-Russian. He ran his last campaign on saying we want to stop sending aid to Ukraine. So what? He got shot. If you're pro-Russian, oh well, it happens.
I think it's more than just disturbing. I mean, the video that I saw, I couldn't watch the whole video, but the part that I saw was pretty disturbing. And it's...
Guy just reached over a fence, man, and just popped him 5 times, you know?
Yeah.
Pop, 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 pop. With a pistol.
It is just... I mean, who was this person, just nuts and acting on his own?
Well, they said that he had been planning this since the last election, whenever that was.
Wow.
But
there are a lot of things that are happening that are just crazy. You know, we've lost the ability to disagree agreeably, and now people, if they don't like you, they just try to take you out, which is just,
yeah.
You know, in a civilized society, this is just totally unacceptable. It goes without saying. Come on. You disagree with somebody, but you don't kill them.
Yeah.
Maybe you go to jail for that for a long time, I hope.
Absolutely, I believe that. I agree.
Well,
violence is not the answer.
These people are so crazy. Do they think they're going to get away with this? I mean, they're going to go to jail. Is it worth it? Maybe it is to some of them. I don't know.
Yeah. He's going to spend the rest of his life in jail if the guy lives. If he doesn't live, because his very precarious situation the guy's in, if he doesn't live, then he won't spend life in prison. He'll probably be executed. It's in Slovakia. They'll shoot him.
Oh. Okay.
You know, so he's toast. Well, why don't we move on to another aspect of the show right now.
Howdy, folks. And as we have already established, today is my 70th birthday. I came into this world at about 10 o'clock on May the 15th of 1954. I was in Athens. That was where my mother was, and I thought I wanted to be close to her at that particular time. And Saturday night in Athens, the old St. Mary's Hospital, you know, about kind of a preface to what happened to me later on when I went to the University of Georgia, about 10 o'clock on Saturday night when things really started happening in Athens. So I decided to be born at that time. And whenever you get to a milestone like this, you start reflecting on the things that you have done and the things that you've left undone. And believe you me, there are quite a few of those. There are things I wish I had done, and quite a few things I wish I had left undone. For example, things I wish I had done. I wish I had talked to my grandparents more. What a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that they possessed. And they all, the ones that I knew, now my paternal grandmother had some sort of stomach cancer and died a long time before I was born, but my other grandparents lived into their 90s. And my paternal grandfather's father, my great-grandfather on my dad's side, was an officer in the Civil War. I wish we call my granddaddy Big Daddy, and I wish I had talked to him more about that. What was your dad like? What did he tell you about the war? Did he talk to you about that? I do have my great-grandfather's medical book, by the way, because he was a doctor as well as an officer in the CSA. So I wish I'd talked to my grandparents more. I wish I had been kinder to people as I came along. I wish I had been kinder to those who were not so popular. Oh, as kids, we are very cruel at times, aren't we? I wish I'd been kinder to my family at times. You know, those that we say we love sometimes get treated the worst of anybody because we can get away with it. And I wish I had been kinder to my folks. Wish I dated a little bit more in high school, but at the time, it's just about everybody that got locked up with people, and they stayed that way through their whole high school career. There were a few folks out there I guess I could have dated, but I just didn't for whatever reason, being shy or whatever. But I wish I had done more than that, you know. And of all those people that stayed locked up through high school, I can think of only maybe one couple that I knew personally that's still together. I wish I had been more dedicated as a younger athlete in my football and wrestling and whatever. You know, the great existential philosopher Johnny Cash said there ain't no easy run, and he was absolutely right. If you want something, you better work at it. You better work at it hard. But on some things, I'm happy about. I'm happy I grew up when and where I did. I'm happy that I grew up a country boy. I'm happy I grew up in a small town like Jefferson where everybody knew you and you knew everybody. I'm happy I grew up in the time that I did, where we had a real summer break, not just a long couple of weeks, it seemed, before you turn around and go back to school. And when I was at Georgia, we had the quarter system. We had a huge break in the summertime. Didn't have to go back till late September. I'm happy that I read a lot, and I still do. I'm happy I discovered the spiritual and philosophical sides of life. You know, we're all about the STEM, you know, the technical and the math and all of that kind of stuff, all of that. But, you know, if we educate the mind but neglect the soul, what have we gained? I think we're poorer for that. I'm happy and I'm thankful for my family and for my friends who are like family. And may we all be forgiven for our trespasses, and may we be delivered from evil. Here's to the next 70 years with my family and friends. I'm Gary Glenn. That's my time out. Thanks for yours.
This webcast is brought to you by William Lofton Photography. They can be found at williamlofton.com. Offering event residential portraiture at williamlofton.com.
Hey there. Today, I want to talk about the Consumer Price Index, which was released earlier today. And we got some pretty good news from that. And so I want to talk about those numbers and also talk about what it means, what those numbers mean to everybody, not just the bean counters and the accountants who work for the Bureau of Labor Statistics, where the CPI is maintained. So today, CPI change over the last year was 3.4% for April. So from April of 2024 back to April of 2023, prices increased 3.4%, which is an improvement over where they were, what was happening in 2022, where the CPI was at a high of 9.1%. So that's the good news. Inflation is slowing down. The CPI has fallen from that high of 9.1% to 3.4% today, which is a really significant decrease. But for the last several months, 5 or 6 months, we've been stuck at the level where we are now. And that's not good enough for the Fed. They're saying they want to see those rates drop in the 2% range. So what that means, what the CPI of 3.4% means in terms of food, energy, transportation, and housing, the things that are really important to all of us are these. Food, grocery prices are improving a lot, actually. They're down to like a 1% annual inflation rate month over month. Dining out, if you go out to eat, that's improving not as much as grocery prices, though. Energy overall is improving. Crude oil prices are actually decreasing right now. Gasoline prices are improving, believe it or not, but not as much as the overall index. And something I want to remind you of here is energy and gasoline prices are really seasonal. They change 2, 3, 4 times during the year. And we're at one of those times during the year where gasoline demand is going up. Memorial Day is just a couple weeks away. And the refiners are also changing over to the summer mix of gasoline, which means they're draining down the winter mix in preparation to ship the summer mix, and it just does a lot of things to prices. The point being, it's seasonal. You're a lot better looking at gas prices over time than just this month. Transportation, new car prices, used car prices are going down. Actually, they're decreasing, so they're improving significantly. And home prices, shelter in general, is still a problem. It's increasing at 5.5% annually. Fed policy usually has more of an impact, particularly on home sales, but not as much in this cycle. Home sales in particular were distorted by the effects of the pandemic, but now mostly by a stubborn low supply and high demand. And so the Fed policy obviously is just not working to bring real estate prices, home prices, rents to a new equilibrium that's lower than what we've got right now. We need some new ideas about managing housing markets when they get this way. All that to say, not a bad report card for inflation and the economy. And I'm going to post all of these comments. I've got charts and graphs and links that you can follow to look at the same information that I'm talking about. I'll post that on Intelligent Ramblings Friends on Facebook. You can look at it anytime. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to talk about it. All right, that's my time. Thank you.
Well, here it is with Whether or Not, which I didn't play, but I'm going to play it now. Well, it's Whether or Not. Thought I'd do that. I like the graphics, so that's why I wanted to show it. Anyway, I don't know if any of you out there know, but I'm a gardener. I've been gardening for about 30 years, and I am doing a project this year. It's a terrace garden, which is basically it's downhill, and it goes down and up and down and up. It's like steps going down. And what your terrace garden is to slow down erosion. I did it because I got a big hill, and it's a great place to do a garden. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead. I made a video about my garden that I created this year, and I thought I'd show it, see how you guys like it. Garden 2024. This is the beginning, starting to sprout in the greenhouse, all from seed. That's mostly tomatoes you're looking at. Next, I transplant them into different pots so they grow a little bit stronger. A lot of pots. Tilling. I'm gonna tell you what, it may look easy, but it's not. And I got some help from my daughters. That's Talisha. She's throwing that tiller around. And my daughter Alexandria. They were a great help in doing this garden. Could not have done it by myself, absolutely. Separating the grass from the topsoil. Got some good topsoil because I had some gardens in there before, small ones. Garden's ready to plant. Well, this is the best part of the garden. It's already tilled. Started planting. Now let's see, let's get down here to the bottom so I can show you where everything is. That's watermelon, crimson sweet. That's watermelon, sugar baby, cantaloupe. That's a fig tree. It's just right there in the middle. And along through here, we got cucumbers. And then you come up one row, and that's butternut squash. Goes down through here. So you get right here. Then you got eggplant, goes down through here. For all you weird people out there that make weird videos. On the corners, I got here, here, and here. I got lemon cucumber. The third row is the row for peppers. And right now, so far, I've got 2 poblano peppers. And then we start with the tomatoes. You can barely see it. Right there. That's a yellow plum. Then I got a bodacious hybrid, and to the right I got another bodacious hybrid. And we got a San Margino. And up to the right of it, another San Margino. Then we got my all-time favorites, Roma and Roma. Then we got Abe Lincoln. Then we got County Cop making a lot of noise. Then we got black crims right here and right here. And then I got yellow squash. Top one is crook neck. And the bottom one is straight neck. And what I got coming in here, along here on these rows, is going to be corn. Silver Queen. All these here will be Silver Queen. And if you'll notice all these marigolds, I'm going, what the hell is he doing with all the marigolds? Well, what I'm doing is keeping the damn deer out. This is a feeding ground for deer. I really don't want to shoot any of them, so I just put marigolds out and that kind of runs them off. It helps anyway. But that is my garden 2024. That's right, folks, that's corn. We got some blooms on there. Well, there's my garden 2024. That took a lot of work. To run that tiller straight can be a problem if it's on a hill. So what I did was I took a shovel and I went all those rows. If you don't think my back was wore out, you don't know what it's like to shovel. Each row, you got to think about 100. You got to dig it in and kick it out. You know, about 100 times. I got 6 rows. Also, a lot of the plants are probably spaced too close together. I'm going to overplant, like on my watermelon. Instead of throwing 2 or 3 seeds, I throw out 15. And 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever I think, that are big enough, they stay. The little ones, I pull them out and give them away or something like that. But if you have any other questions about gardening, please go to our Facebook group and post your questions. Other than that, I think we're going back to this. Where's John and Gary? Okay, there they are. Well, what'd y'all think about my garden there, buddy?
I liked it. I wish I could say I had a garden going, but it's still on paper, not in the ground.
That's a serious amount of work, Gary. I mean, it tore me up. My back was shot. actually, after the garden, I came in and I had to go shoot this weekend 3 graduations in Clemson on Thursday, 3 in Clemson on Friday, and 3 in Boone, North Carolina on Saturday. So I was having a really hard time, and my back was just, you can imagine, standing there holding a camera for an hour and a half at a time and taking pictures. What I did, and it worked, that helped a lot, was I put heat with a heating pad on my back for about 45 minutes to an hour, and I take that off and I take ice. I got an ice pack that kind of forms around my back, and I put that in there for about a half hour, and I take that out and put the heat back, and then I go back to the ice, and I kept doing that for like 6 or 7 hours a day for 2 days straight, trying to get ready for this weekend. Because I knew it was going to be a bitch doing that photography with my back hurting. And that made a significant difference. And I've been drinking a lot of water. So to clear my kidneys out, so that I've been drinking too much Coke and too much coffee and too much this, that, and tea and stuff like that. And so I'm cleaning my gizzard out. So that has helped a tremendous amount as well. But
I know you were happy to have your daughters helping you. That was pretty cool.
Well, it wasn't a truly voluntary basis. I suggested it highly that they come help me with the garden. and to my 2 daughters, definitely came out. Two of my daughters came out and helped me out. And then we had, I think we cooked out hamburgers on the grill or something. I'm not sure. But it was a good day. It's to be a good memory for my girls out there. And I'm gonna tell you, I could not have done what I did by myself. I just couldn't have. They did not just come out there and stand around. They were, as you saw, they were working. Yeah. And it's an absolutely a family garden, and it's actually a garden with. 2 of my neighbors also participated in a small way, and actually one of them came over there and was helping separate the dirt from the grass. Like I said, I had a couple small gardens in that same spot, and they did real well. So there's spots on that hill that got great dirt. Most of it's Georgia red clay. And when I put a plant in, I made sure that around it's got good dirt, so it have room to root out, and I'd have to force its way through that Georgia red clay. But I've got blooms on my lemon cucumbers. I got blooms on tomatoes, and it's doing really well. I went out last week and put a little Epsom salt around each plant. I mean that was not easy, bending over doing that with my back hurting, but I had to do it because I knew we had a bunch of rain coming. So I put Epsom salt around all the plants, and that gives it magnesium. And I also went to Walmart and bought me a jar or pill bottle full of calcium tablets. Tomatoes love calcium. You've heard about putting eggshells under your tomato plants. I just took a calcium pill and stuck it in the ground right in front of the tomato plant, so when it rains, it'll wash it on top of the tomato plant, and it'll last probably all season. I heard some old guy talking about it in feed store when I was in there buying some seeds, and he was talking about, that's what he did. And I said, well, if that old dude can do it, and he's a farmer, I will definitely try it. But I've also developed my own spray that I spray them with it, and it's it's rosemary. You take rosemary and put it in a pot of water and bring it to a boil, and then just set the pot off to the side and let it cool down, and then pour it in a spray bottle. And you're basically making rosemary oil, which bugs do not like at all. And the more rosemary, I do a big batch. I do it like 2 gallons when I do it at a time. And that takes a good bit of rosemary, but I've got some huge rosemary plants. So I have a bodacious amount of rosemary to do that with. It could probably get expensive if you were going to the store and buying little rosemary plants and doing it, but I grew it in my herb garden. So it's
I've seen, I will testify to that. Bill's rosemary plants are humongous.
They're huge, and I actually pulled out a few last year. My other daughter up in North Carolina wanted wanted some rosemary, so I just yanked one out of the ground and gave it to her. But it's using natural herbs are I try to be organic, but if I get some kind of funky disease on them, I am not going to lose my plants to that. So I get out the real nasty stuff and spray it. And but mostly, I would say I'm 90% organic.
Well,
gentlemen,
parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
I have all those except parsley. I have sage and thyme. I have lots of thyme. And we're out of time.
Well, good for you.
So
out of time. Yeah.
Out of time. So thank you for who was here tonight. I know Emma Jean was here. We all know her. And we appreciate you being here in a big way. Gentlemen,
folks,
hope you guys have a great week. And we'll
see both of you on Saturday.
That's right.
That's right. Looking forward to it.
That's right. Oh, yeah. And by the way, Toast of Toccoa is Saturday at downtown Toccoa. I'll be down there in my tent with my walking sticks. So you guys come down and support us at Toast of Toccoa.
Cool.
Well, good luck with selling your sticks.
Thank you, man.
I've seen it. They're good looking stuff.
I will have to bring them up on the show at you. Good night, everybody.